Okay. Hi, Gigi. Okay, so no, I guess this is your first time being on the Morning Muffin. So
Yeah.
I kind of go through this spiel. I should have told you this beforehand, where I put this banner over our faces and then I sing because I don't have a jingle.
Okay.
Welcome to the Morning Muffin Show, your morning carbo load of real estate. And I don't know what to do with my hands, so I just do like this weird like chicken dance. So sorry about that.
It's okay. I have a little, a little ping going on. I'll get that out of there.
Okay. So, I'm going to put another banner over our faces that just today we're talking about debt to income ratio here on the Morning Muffin Show. And for those of you watching, which we do have one person out there watching us right now. Hi. If you're on, say hi. Put in
Hello.
comment box. This is Gigi Tillis, and she works for Sunwest Mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on. And ratios are super important. So
yeah,
it's a great topic.
Yeah, I was thinking about it because you see credit like everywhere, and it's like that big loudmouth family member that's like it takes over every conversation, but it literally is only part of the equation, right? Yeah. So, can you tell us what the debt to income is and why it's so important?
Yeah, well, I think just speaking to credit, if you kind of look at the credit pie, your ratios are like important for good credit, kind of like your overall credit profile. So I guess it's almost like, I think it's 35% is what makes your credit score reflect if you have good ratios. So that would mean like if you're keeping your credit cards under 30%, I think it's 35% on the credit pie. But ratios are basically one key, and kind of the way I look at mortgages, kind of like keys that fit into the door. And like if you can turn them, or if you can fit that puzzle piece in there perfectly, then you have one piece. Credit's one piece, the ratios are one piece, assets another piece. So we kind of just put all these pieces together in the puzzle and make it work. Ratios are super important because it could make or break a deal. Like we can always come up with more money. We can find assets somewhere through a gift or through down payment assistance, or one way or another, you can kind of find some money somewhere. But you can't really do a lot about your ratios if they're out of whack. So I guess you have a front. If you want me to dive in, I can, or we can kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is what I love about you and your creativity, is because you approach it like if it's a money thing, we can figure it out. And so like when it comes to debt to income, being able to manipulate those numbers within that pie and those keys. I love that analogy because, so for me, so this is what my brain did when you did that. So the debt to income, I think of as like a pie wheel, you said, with all the different keys and all the different debt factors in there. But once you open up that whole thing, you have credit, which we can talk about another time, which is like what should be considered as an alternative currency. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And so, so I think this is a really great analogy of being able to unlock this puzzle to get to that extra treasure, which is alternative currency. So I would love to hear your take on manipulating the numbers and maybe some examples of things that you've tried with maybe some of your other past clients.
So I have one right now who she has a car that's all she has on her credit. She has a nice credit score. But her credit score is pretty high. It's 700. So that's like, everybody's like the 700 club, and 800 club is untouchable,
Mm-hmm.
But she has a really great credit score. And the only thing that's hurting her capacity or her purchase power is her ratio. So when you talk about ratios, you have a front end and a back end. The front end ratio is your mortgage to income. So how much you're going to be paying every month versus how much you make. The way you come up with that ratio is by taking how much you make and you divide your mortgage or what your potential mortgage would be. So if you're comfortable paying your rent right now and say your rent's $1,100, then you would divide $1,100 by what you make monthly.
Yeah, like here, let's grab like a calculator for those of you out there that don't like math. Okay, here we go. We'll say
and I did a little math problem. So.
$1,100 divided by, let's say you make $3,000 a month.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so here's the ratio.
36.6%.
Ooh, so yeah. I'm getting a call from my dentist. Do you see this, you guys? I'm not gonna answer this right now.
So yeah, so that's how you get your front end ratio. Your front end ratio can't go over a certain point, and most people talk about ratios and they say the debt to income ratio. That's your back end ratio. So you take that by adding all of your debt. So the front end ratio is like your housing allowance, how much you can actually, like your housing allowance, how much you're going to be paying. It's going to be 36% of your income at $3,000 a month. I think that's like $40K a year, possibly. And then, or maybe a little less, but then you have that 36, and then the back end is all of your debt. So say you have a car at $250, you have a credit card at $25, you take your mortgage at $1,100, you add all that together, and then you divide that by, or you divide what you make by that number, and you get your back end. Front end, back end numbers that you want to kind of hover around or don't really want to go over. At Sunwest, we can go to the guideline, which is like Freddie and Fannie, which is the actual big money people. They're who actually like lend to the lenders. Yeah. So, and that's all mortgage talk and nothing you need to understand, but I like to kind of maybe go overboard with education because it helps people really understand what they're getting into.
Yeah. And next week, you and I are meeting next Friday to talk about education and where to find it. So if you guys like what we're saying and want to hear more, tune in next Friday.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like boring because it's actually kind of fun. So, but anyhow, so numbers that are kind of like safe. If you want to go conventional with Sunwest, you need to stay under 50%. And 50% is still extremely high. It's almost across the board. It was 45. 50% is like safe to say. You don't want to bud all the way up against that number, though, because when you get there, they're going to look at other things that can kind of play into that as far as like, what is your credit score? How much do you have in savings? So they look at your whole profile to say, like, does this person really have the capacity to pay? What is the character of this person? When I'm doing a mortgage or when you're going to get a mortgage, you're telling a story of your finances, of your history. So you have a house of something that you want, that's the asset. And then you have a story that you need to tell to get there. So.
Mm-hmm. And it's true. And so this, like the debt to income ratio, this is why it's always so silent, is maybe like you and I have talked about this, maybe there's some shame involved in spending habits, maybe some history, maybe some prioritization, and maybe some medical history, or maybe some like caretaking for somebody else. But debt to income often isn't talked about because it is so heavily guarded with like I said, shame and maybe some resistance. And it's hard to talk about. Like credit, you hear about all the time, and it's a number. And like we said, it's an alternative currency where you can check your bank account and this is what you have. And the people that have a really high credit ratio sing from the skies and they talk about it, but their debt to income ratio could suddenly change dramatically from what they purchase.
So a couple things, like you can take somebody who, let's say if we look at a perfect credit profile, somebody who has an American Express card, or you know what I mean, and they pay it every month, right? But if they max it out every month and we pull credit at the time where your card is maxed out, it looks like you have this substantial payment that you pay every single month. And then we have to go about kind of figuring out how you paid it off, sourcing where you paid it off from, so on and so forth. But someone that has like, I don't like using words like average or things like that, because everybody's different and everybody uses credit different and they need to use it for different reasons. Things that I would say, and then I'll go back to my example because I kind of like hop around like that little on TV, like that word thing. I don't like that in conversation, but I would say if you're looking to buy a house, I would work on paying down credit cards and not necessarily paying them off, but just paying them down to that minimum payment. And then when we're in process, we can figure out paying it off. And the best place to be is at zero balances. That would kind of expand your ratios and it'll give you the max amount that you want to purchase or that you can purchase for. So we call that your max purchase power. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to kind of the example that I had. I have a customer right now who has a car note and it's a pretty decent car note. It's a pretty decent car. So she loves the house that she's going to get. And she's like, what can I do? You know? And I said, well, you can sell your car. And she's like, I'm going to sell my car. You know, that's one option. The other option is to refinance your car. That's another option. And the other option is if you don't own a car that you have a car note on, purchase your home before you get a car. No. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell people all the time. Okay, you guys, there are a million different ways to get around the city. I mean, you can take the train, you can take a bus, you can take a taxi, you can take an Uber, you can walk, you can ride your bike, you can do car shares, things like that. But your house is your stability, your livelihood, freedom away from crazy landlords that don't take care of things or jack up the rent, crazy neighbors, things like that. But, if you can, I love your option of being able to refinance your car, especially in a refinance market right now where everybody is refinancing their home to save money. They don't even think about their car as an option to relieve that money, especially if they're going to be moving soon, because it would give them that freedom. They're like, well, I still get my car. I still have lower payments. My debt to income change. I can move now into the house that I want to live in.
I've helped a couple of customers in that way. And you look at it like, you're going to move into a home. You're going to have a lower car note. So everything about your life is going to be better. Like, who wants to pay more when they don't have to? And most people don't even know that refinancing a car is an option. I mean, creditors make you think that it's just like consolidating credit cards. You know what I mean? Creditors make you think that you have to just keep paying them. Well, you don't. You have options, and you can look at I say credit unions are the best way to go because they do have like lower rates, but that's personal. But you can look at your options when it comes to if you have a car note, if you don't really have an option to sell it and you don't really have other transportation, refinancing. And even if you have an extra, say you've been saving for a house, you have $10,000 to put on a house. Let's look at an option of putting $2,000 down maybe on your car, refinancing your car, getting your car note. So right now, this customer, we're actually, she's going to go with a refi. Selling the car was a high hole, but we're getting her car note down $200 some. $200 a month when it pertains to your debt to income ratio is quite a bit of money. Credit usage and the ability to have more purchase power. $200 a month, I think, can equate to a few hundred, like at maybe $50,000 to $60,000. So it's quite a bit.
It is. Well, for the sake of time, I don't want to take up too much of your day. I just want to say one of the reasons why I gravitate towards you, and one of the reasons why I love having these conversations with you, is because you do think outside the box. You guys, for those of you that are watching that never considered refinancing your car, and refinancing their house instead, this is a great option. Like, in case you want to move, in case you're thinking about listing, I love this. This is like the answer that I have been kind of like looking for it with a couple of my listings and things like that. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be doing this every Friday. You guys, for at least a while, we have like 6 of them planned, I think. So it's 6 weeks of you and I every Friday talking about finances and things. So if you guys have any questions or want to reach out directly to Gigi, how do they get a hold of you? I think I have your website I can put in the comments.
Yeah, so my website, the link is fractured right now, but it'll be up soon. I'm on Instagram at app with Gigi. So it's at APPWITH and then 2 G's.
Okay.
App with Gigi. And there's only one picture up, but we're getting there.
Okay. So what was the Instagram one again? Because I'm loading up the Sunwest mortgage one here.
Yep. So that is my I think that's my apply now link. So if you want to fill out an application and you don't know where you're at, we can definitely look at your ratios to see if those fit. We can do that without pulling credit. And if you want to kind of say, I'm going to give it a whirl, I want my credit pulled, I do things like look at your credit and run credit simulators and tell you how you can get your credit in a better place. My whole thing is I will put you on the path to approval. So if you apply with me, I'll put you on the path to approval.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. What was your Instagram again?
At app, APP with WITH Gigi. So it's like apply with Gigi.
Okay. There we go. You guys.
Yep. Oh, Gigi, just 2 G's. Sorry.
Oh.
I had to shorten it up.
So, sorry. I was thinking grammatically, and it wasn't. It was like very, very literal.
Yep, just 2 letters. App, APP with Gigi.
I love that. Okay.
Perfect.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And you guys, ever anything real estate related, you can contact me, message me, Facebook, YouTube, whatever you need to do. But thank you so much. And I wish you a good day. And we'll be talking about our mutual files here shortly.
Yep. Have a wonderful